Welcome to ICG's Dispute Workflow demo. In this video, we'll be going over an example of a dispute workflow and discussing the different customization options for workflows such as these. In the back office, disputes are largely disagreements that happen between a vendor and a buyer when what was paid does not match the amount on the invoice. It is also helpful to think of disputes as cases, so perhaps a vendor wants to start an EDI relationship or needs to change a remittance address or payment method. Disputes, or cases, can encompass many different types of requests and communications that occur between you and your vendor. Workflows are important because they allow your cases to move smoothly between you and your vendor as you come to a conclusion on the dispute. This is an overview of a basic dispute workflow. Step 1. The supplier submits a dispute. This can happen in a number of ways depending on what your organization chooses to do. You also may or may not be required to use an invoice to submit the dispute. To learn more about our search and submit functions, please check out our first video on disputes, which focuses on the vendor's experience during this process. Step 2, the initial triage step. This triage can be performed manually, automatically using AI and machine learning and other automation, or both. As technology improves, more and more of this initial triage can be completed by AI, potentially automating 75 to 80% of the first processing step, allowing common disputes to move throughout the system with little human intervention, allowing focus to be on more complicated cases. Coming out of the triage step, there are 4 options. The dispute is valid, the dispute is denied, or, if you need more information, sending the dispute back to the supplier or sending it internally for additional research. Let's discuss each of these options individually. If the dispute is valid, a transaction will be sent to the ERP to repay the vendor and the dispute will be marked as complete. If the dispute is denied, the supplier will be notified via email. If additional information is needed from the vendor, it can be routed back through the portal. Once the vendor replies, the dispute will go back to the step that requested the information. Finally, the dispute can be routed internally for additional research. Once this is done, the system can help determine what's next. Now, let's get into what an example of a dispute workflow might look like. The workflow is built into the vendor portal. On the home page, click the hamburger in the top left-hand corner and click Dispute Processing to see submitted disputes. The main page automatically brings up all of the disputes currently in the triage step. If you're looking for a specific dispute, there's filtering and sorting functionality available. In this customer's installation, different types of transactions, AP invoice, customer deductions, and MAR invoice, have different dispute options, so allowing the user to filter by type of dispute is important. Once you choose your dispute type, you can search by categories and issues. You can also search for specific disputes with a tracking number. Depending on your organization's needs, you can also search by specialist, vendor name, new versus updated disputes, or anything else that's meaningful to your process. Finally, you can choose how to sort the results. Once you're ready to pull up your disputes, click Submit. Once you have your desired list of disputes, you can click on any of the entries to pull up more information about that specific dispute. Here, you can see all of the information about the dispute. You can also download relevant documents uploaded by the vendor and/or other internal resources. There are also several options for actions to take. In this example, we have Get Next, No Action or Cancel, Timeline, Add Note, Penned, Route to, and Complete. Get Next takes you to the next dispute so you don't always have to go back to the dispute list. When you click Timeline, you can see all of the notes, events, and routing in reverse chronological order for that specific dispute. Add Note allows you to add either a private or public entry about the dispute. And Penned allows you to put a dispute on the side for a certain amount of time. Route to allows you to manually send the dispute anywhere it needs to go. You can choose between denying or validating the claim, routing to the supplier, or to another internal user. Based on the destination you choose, there will be different options for the reason. You must also add a comment in order to take the action. Finally, you have the option to complete the dispute. These options can change based on your organization's requirements. Along with workflow functionality, dispute tracking is available to help users search for specific disputes and see the internal status. Each dispute has a tracking number, or you can search by the dispute category or any number of other data points within the dispute, such as dispute amounts, specialist numbers, etc. This is yet another example of a configuration point within ICG Solutions. Once you choose your dispute tracking criteria, you can hit Submit and the results are populated. Then, once you find the dispute you're looking for, click on the three dots and click View Detailed Dispute. Here you can see all of the dispute information, including the status, any documents that have been uploaded, as well as the timeline of each event and comment pertaining to the dispute. And that's it. Thank you for joining us for this dispute workflow demo. We hope to see you in the next one.